Hi everyone, this is Weekend Motorcycle Guy, bringing you another review of some new LED turn signals that I picked up not too long ago for my Triumph. I wanted to do a quick review of this just to show you some size differences, kind of go through and show you overall size compared to the stock turn signals that come on this bike. When I looked for these indicators, trying to find any real reviews of them, there was really nothing. AJ Cycles out of New York, they had a small video posted which was informative. It showed you exactly what you were looking at and everything, but I figured I'd just do a quick compare of it and then what this looks like once installed on the bike compared to stock. Also apologize if you guys are getting a lot of wind noise outside because it's a nice day out, so do my best here on this. But like I said, so what I'm reviewing here today is going to be Kuryakan Atto turn signal indicator lamps. They also come in a couple different flavors, I guess you could say. I just got the standard amber turn signal ones, but they do have a little mini half amber, half red for your brake light and tail light running along with the turn signal. They also just have dedicated red for tail light and stop, and then they have white, I guess you could say. You can use those as running lights or turn signals, whatever you'd like. The packaging is pretty small, come pretty well equipped. You can see a couple different options that it shows. As far as finish, you can get satin finish, chrome, different lens colors depending on what you want. You can have clear, smoke, application, and like I said, you can have amber front or rear, white front only, red amber rear only, and red rear only. Once again, just looking at the back here, it's just going to show you what this is. Some notes, since this is from Germany, they're not saying these are DOT compliant or anything like that, but whatever. At the end of the day, it's up to you to really know your local laws. I'm not going to go over that here or anything like that. Just some quick notes here as to what this is and some specs for it. So I'll go ahead and do the unwrap so you guys can see what we got. This will probably blow away in the wind. Yeah, I'll find it later on. Alright, so it's packaged. It's probably pretty hard to see actually here in this lighting, but essentially right here is the light itself. Once you bring this out, you can see exactly how tiny this light is. Alright, as we saw, there were some instructions included in the packaging. These aren't looking very detailed, just your generic electrical connections and things like that. Some information, thank you for buying our product. There's probably some warranty information in here, I'm sure, somewhere, but not too sure where at. Not really overly concerned with it. I don't think these things are going to fail anytime soon. Anyway, so yeah, instructions, talks electrical connections. If you have a good grasp on electrical, it'll be straightforward. There's only 2 wires anyways for the turn signal, so you shouldn't have any issue with that. So cleaning advice, hooray. One key note that you can take away from this here on, let's say a lot of modern bikes are probably starting to go towards LED turn signals anyways, just to save on cost and overall current load on the electrical system of the bike. LEDs draw a lot less current to drive that. So if you have an older bike or your bike doesn't come equipped with LEDs and you have incandescent bulbs, you're going to run into a flash rate issue where the turn signals will likely flash a lot faster than what you're used to. You can remedy this by following their recommended instructions here. They got some information on certain different relays that can help you out and things like that, but essentially a load equalizer would just go through and put more current onto the system so that way the relay can flash through. It's going to be pretty straightforward. They're just resistors for the most part, but I'm sure there's probably some other fancier stuff out there. Lucky for me, my bike already has LEDs, so this should be a quick plug and play for me, minus tidying up some wiring installation. But yeah, that's that. This is the guy right here. It's pretty tiny. Once you open this up, you're going to get a loom of wire. Pretty straightforward. Some other little gizmos in there. And all this is just some heat shrink and what I'm assuming are some connectors just to splice in. I won't be using any of this on mine because I have a pretty good stock of electrical connectors. The bike this is going on, I don't want to chop into the harness anyways. I want to keep everything stock, so I had to find some connectors from Fry's Electronics to make it work, but that was pretty straightforward as well. Wound up the wiring here as best as I could. This wiring here, you get probably around 2 feet, maybe a little bit shy of 2 foot of wiring. That should be plenty enough for you to replace your current stock indicators. If not, you're up to making your own little harness, but I wound it up just to keep things out of the way. And so compared to the stock turn signals that come equipped on my bike, this is the size difference. It's considerably smaller overall in every aspect. So the next part of this here, what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to go through and just power these up so you can see them, just the brightness here. Okay, we're back. Had some technical difficulties here with some wiring, but just trying to get everything to stay in place. So obviously stock light, little Kuryakan. I mean, night and day difference. Oop, lost both of them now. There we go. So the brightness alone on this thing is ridiculous. Like I said, while you might lose some of its visibility just by seeing it during the day, the intensity of this guy is very, very bright. What you have 5 going on there diffusing it, this guy right here is just extremely, extremely bright. I try to put it right here into the camera itself. Pretty bright, and just creating halo effects on the camera. So, like I said, extremely bright. Can't really mistake it. So, all right, next part we'll just be showing this on the bike and going from there. Back at the bike here. Like I said, I wanted to go something really small. The stock lighting that came on the bike would normally be mounted right here on this guy. This guy would feed through, and you ultimately had this big guy hanging off the side of it. It's pretty big. Like I said, it came out very far from the lines of the cowling and everything like that. So the next step was to go these small little guys. One of the things with these lights is that because they are so tiny, the post itself that it mounts to is like an M5, or it's like a metric 5 size bolt. So it's very tiny. I've not really seen anything on any bike that's that tiny for an LED or for a turn signal mount. Everything's around like an M8 or something like that, roughly about that size. Because of how Thruxtons come equipped and where their lights are mounted, if I just simply put this little guy into this spot or this spot, I'm kind of left with this uglier area. So there are some companies out there, Rismo make some adapters for these guys. They're just little pieces of plastic, but at least it will cover up these extra holes and things like that. Also, because of how tiny that was, there are adapters made by Kuryakan as well. Kellerman ultimately is like the name of like the brand if you were really looking for it. But what it does is it takes the light, allows it to mount inside of this M8 bolt, so that way you can get some meat behind that and not necessarily worry about breaking anything when you try to mount it. So depending on your application, you might have to get like an adapter, other things like that. Off the top of my head, they did have some other sizes. This one's an M8 by 20 millimeter thread length and everything like that. They have a 40 millimeter depending on how far you have to go to your final spot. Then they also have, I believe, an M10 size in a 20 millimeter length as well. I'm not sure about the 40 millimeter length, but I just needed this little guy. So like I said, it just goes ahead and mounts essentially right through here. fingers to work. That little plastic eye will cover that up, so it'll be pretty straightforward. If I go through and actually mount this the rest of the way for you, you can see this difference. Barely can see it. Like I said, that little plastic piece will cover it up just to kind of help some of the lines. Comparing it once again, we're vastly different in size, so it's not really sticking out as far. Earlier on I mentioned that there's actual adapters for these lights because they're so tiny. I went back and just dug out of the trash real quick the mount for it. Like I said, it's just an M8 by 20. As you can see right there. Like I said, it's just a Kuryakan by Kellerman. So they offer them, like I said, M80 by 40s. They offer some M10s and things like that as well. I just needed an M8. So to show you real fast what these end up doing is that here's the actual bolt itself. You can see that it's actually drilled straight through. You should be able to see the light. This is just impossible, but yeah, you can see it's through. But on the very top of this, right about where my thumb's at, it's actually threaded, and that's for the light itself. So when you have these little lights like this, what you can do is just go ahead and unscrew the normal bolt that's on top of it right there. And once that's removed, you get past all the wiring that it has. You will actually end up taking the end of the wiring from the light and just feeding it through. Just like so. And just keep feeding it through up until the point the light is right there. Let's unscrew the actual nut itself that mounts to the bike just to make my life a little easier. And just screw it on like you normally would. And like I said, just holds it in there. Pretty fancy. If you want to, you can put some thread lock around there on those threads just to make sure that doesn't vibrate loose or anything like that. And if you do put thread lock around there, just blue Loctite will work. So okay, so have everything installed now. Well, halfway there I should say. You can obviously tell that there's a stock turn signal still on there. Once these are installed here, I'm just quickly showing you what your size difference. If you guys look at it right now, you can see the stock turn signal there on the right hand side of the bike, left hand side of the video, and then if you look off to the right of the bike, that is the left turn signal. You can barely see it. If you still can't see it, don't worry, I'll point it out. But what you're looking at ultimately will be the stock turn signal, pretty straightforward. Then looking for the right turn signal, it's right there. So very tiny. You might ask yourself, you know, hey, you can barely see that. Does it go outside of the bike? It does. It barely. Depending on where you're at in relationship to the bike, obviously the closer you get to it, you're not going to see that turn signal. It won't be visible. But if you can't see the turn signal in a car, it's because I'm part of the car at that point in time, which would suck. Hopefully that never happens, but someone has to be very close for you to lose sight of that turn signal ultimately. The camera's only about maybe 3.5 feet away, so once again, if someone can't see it, they're right on top of you. Turning this on real fast here, What I'll do is the right hand turn signal. So right hand turn signal, you can see flashing pretty good. Left turn signal, the Kuryakan mini bullets there, they're very powerful. And ultimately if I end up doing a full hazard light for you guys, you can see both of them flashing simultaneously. And that's what you end up having. If I take this back here, and this is going to be the non-professional photo, and you can see where I live here a little bit, but even from a ways away, I mean, they are very bright. Looking at them directly head on, you know, with the camera, they both are shining so bright that they kind of fuse each other together. You can't necessarily tell the difference other than there's two bright lights looking directly on these. I would say that still the aftermarket one is brighter. It's definitely just a lot more visible and aggressive, I would say. But so that concludes the review of these. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in below. I'll do my best to answer them. I'm usually pretty attentive to it. And like and subscribe if you want to see more videos. Alright, thanks everybody. Bye.